Hey everyone, today we're doing a demo. We're talking about ink and we're thinking about letters and thinking about them being similar to the way that we think about figure drawing. In figure drawing, we do something called gesture drawing, which is a really quick, a really fast drawing of a figure, just trying to capture the general feel of the pose. So similar to that, we're going to just be drawing letters and thinking about them in terms of gesture drawing. So today our demo is a gesture letter drawing ink demo. It really doesn't matter what medium you use. You don't have to use ink. The reason that I use it is because it has a fluidity to it. If you just want to use markers or pens or pencils, that's fine. So as far as materials go, you're going to want a glass of water and a paper towel. You'll want a sort of palette or a plastic surface to put the ink on. You'll want some brushes. I've chosen some small detailing brushes and 2 round brushes that are about medium size. I've chosen some mixed media paper. This is Strathmore. This is, it's just a nice paper to use for working with different mediums, including wet mediums. And then of course, you want your ink. So today we have 2 different kinds. I've worked a lot with this, which I know is Yuko Shimizu's recommendation, is Dr. Martin's Black Star India ink. This is a Bombay Black India ink, but really just any India ink should be fine. Okay, so I'm going to start. The way that the ink works is it is like a eyedropper, at least mine is. I know you can also dip your brush directly into the ink. I'm just going to make some drops here. We really don't need too much. And especially for today, I'm going to dilute the ink a little bit with some water. So the demo today is we're really just going through the whole alphabet and thinking about making quick strokes. And thinking about all the different ways that you can capture a letter. So I'll start with A. Obviously, super simple. But even just hand lettering an A can be really interesting. So we're just drawing quickly. I might start with about like a 2 to 3 second drawing. Just thinking about what are different ways that I could draw an A. You can also think about different ways that your brush moves and how that affects the letter. You can think about, are you adding serifs or not? Do you want to try out cursive? Do you want to try some little fun details? Let's see. What else can I do? You can think about ways that you can really manipulate and shift. So what happens if you go really tall and thin? Like if you have the strokes very extremely close to each other, what happens when it's really far apart? What happens when I move the different characteristics of the letter? So if I'm making a really small counter, or maybe I don't do a counter at all, which is the space within the letter. What if I want to fill that in and still have it read as an A? You know, what are ways that you can push the letter form and do new things with it? So you want to start going fairly quickly, but then you want to give yourself some time. So for each letter, you can really spend about 2 minutes exploring each letter. And so this demo should take about 45 minutes to an hour, exploring each letter for about 2 minutes. Okay, so I have done letters A through K, and I was just playing around. You can see, like, I really wasn't thinking too much about it. I was just trying to think of what are all of the different ways that I can manipulate a letter. How can I exaggerate different characteristics? I also have one of these that I did from last year. I think this one has some really fun ones. So some things I want to point out are, I love this H. This is really fun. Thinking about different letter or different shapes that are contained within each letter can be really fun, pushing that and exaggerating. Like again, this C, can see fun things happening with this A. There was another one I really liked. I don't know if you can see this A, maybe it looks like a D, but it's just a line and a dot, and it creates an interesting designed letter. But just think about what are all of the different ways I could draw this letter, and try to push yourself and be creative and have fun with it. So something fun that we did last year in class was taking a Post-it note, and each student would just draw a shape. So I'm going to take this Sharpie and I'm just going to make a shape. It can be anything. And then let's say that I pass this to a friend or a roommate. They would then take this shape and then turn it into a letter somehow. So how could this be a letter? It might be a really funky letter. Maybe it becomes a really interesting H. You can see this. Here are some examples from class last year. Here's a fun A. You can see it was taken from just a little swish. M. This one, I think it became an S. Here's an R. Have an N. This is a fun Q. And it just is kind of a fun way to play around with making letters in different ways. So this is all about being experimental and having some fun. So hopefully this is something that you have fun with, and just try to see letters in a new way.